It's a common belief that employees are not effective in protecting organizations from phishing threats. However, that is only true if you have insufficiently trained workforce. According to the 2023 Verizon Data Breach Report, 74% of breaches involved a human element, meaning it required a user to click, share, download, or in other ways interact with the attack to make it successful. Using that human element against threat actors by creating a solid reporting culture among employees can save data, time, and money. It's really about creating the reporting culture, not just teaching people, oh, this looks sketchy.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today we have a conversation that is timely, critical, and educational, especially in the run-up to the holiday season, where, yes, your inboxes are going to be bombarded with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and so many other holiday season emails. But right in the mix of that is a gangster's paradise. Yes, phishing emails. And in a world where global spending on cybersecurity is expected to surpass $200 billion this year and almost $300 billion by 2026, we're still witnessing an alarming rise in cyber attacks. But where is the gap? Well, my guest today is Max Gannon from Cofense, and they specialise in precisely that conundrum. And Max is going to argue today that the problem might not be how much we spend on cybersecurity, but how much we focus our resources. For example, according to industry statistics, over 90% of all cyber attacks are initiated through phishing, and a staggering 98% of social engineering attacks employ email as their attack vector of choice. So, the question I want to ask today is, are we putting enough attention into this area, into people? So today we're going to dive deep into these issues, dissect why traditional approaches are not cutting it, and what we should be doing differently. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US, where Max Gannon from Cofense is waiting to talk about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Max Gannon. I'm a senior cyber threat intelligence analyst at Cofense. Thank you for having me on the show today. So what I usually do ranges from performing in-depth analysis of malware that comes from customers to writing strategic reporting. And this can consist of short briefings on a particular malware family or a bit more of extensive research on an advanced campaign targeting one of our customers. I've been with Cofense for 6 years now, total 7 years if you include my time as an intern. I did start out as an intern while in college, and I worked my way up to where I am now as a team lead for the Cyber Threat Intelligence Analyst Squad.
Man, that's an incredibly cool title and team that you're heading up there. So many reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast today, especially considering the alarming rate of phishing attacks that continue to ramp up speed. It seems like we've been talking about it for as long as we can both probably remember. And I'm curious, people always get the blame for this stuff. So what role do you think human intelligence plays in complementing technological solutions? And how do you at Cofense integrate this into the framework? Because if we ever scroll down our news feeds, it almost always says people are the weakest link in cybersecurity. It feels like it's time we did something about that, right?
Right, for sure. So technology is great for dealing with standardized problems. But when the complexity increases exponentially, human intelligence stands a better chance at inferring malicious intent. This may not always seem the way it is in the media, but it's something we've definitely found to be true. So the factor that makes human intelligence so compelling is the way that it's applied. As we look at layering technologies atop other technologies, we often wonder if we're actually increasing efficacy or if we could have less technology to stop the malicious emails. With human intelligence, it is only applied to emails that have gotten past their messaging security technologies. In this application, human intelligence is used to identify new threats. So Cofense enables organizations to detect and respond to email phishing attacks evading traditional email security controls with a comprehensive platform powered by a combination of unique intelligence sources. So we have human intelligence, artificial intelligence, and email threat intelligence. The unique combination of intelligence provides an unsurpassed source of insights into phishing campaigns and powers our comprehensive platform to automatically identify and remove recently developed attacks, even if they haven't been reported. So in essence, Cofense sees threats that SIGs don't. And this is really what sets us apart from just another automated solution.
And I think there's an argument that over the years, traditional security awareness training methods have become almost obsolete and ineffective. And I suspect that everybody listening has at some point reluctantly clicked their way through a compulsory annual compliance training session, just ticking those boxes and until they have to do it again 12 months later. But what are the core issues with the current security awareness training methods, do you think? And how are you helping to revolutionize this space and do things differently?
Yeah, so that's definitely a concern. I think you pointed out one of the problems with people just having to check the boxes and do the daily training or the monthly or yearly. So our training isn't just about training people not to click links, but it's also about training them to report things so that we can do something about the reported emails. So for every one email reported by a customer, an average of 20 additional malicious emails are removed from inboxes around the world. So this really puts the benefits of actually reporting things into perspective. Simulated phishing attacks are the common sense solution to protecting against phishing attacks, but they're just the start. Ensuring your simulation program is relevant and timely really takes your protection to the next level. So in other words, curriculums that are static, tired, and use generic scenarios are minimally effective, as you pointed out. As with any form of media, you need to capture the reader's attention with interesting and real topics. And that's where Cofense really shines. Because we are involved in so many aspects of the phishing threat landscape, we can provide templates and training that are related to specific threats that we have seen in safe, protected environments, rather than just something we created that, looks shiny, but really isn't all that actual relevant to real world situations. Cofense educates users on real threats and tactics facing organizations. Our solution leverages our crowdsourced threat intelligence from a network of 35 million human sensors worldwide and frontline phishing defense resources that other providers lack. It's a common belief that employees are not effective in protecting organizations from phishing threats. However, that is only true if you have insufficiently trained workforce. According to the 2023 Verizon Data Breach Report, 74% of breaches involved a human element, meaning it required a user to click, share, download, or in other ways interact with the attack to make it successful. Using that human element against threat actors by creating a solid reporting culture among employees can save data, time, and money. It's really about creating the reporting culture, not just teaching people, oh, this looks sketchy.
And as we prepare to enter the final quarter of 2023, and as this is a tech podcast, of course, the main topic of the year has been artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it's often also been touted as the future of cybersecurity too. However, it's important to recognise that it can never completely replace human judgment. So can you elaborate on some of the limitations of relying solely on machine-driven strategies? Because that's not where all the answers are, is it?
Yeah, for sure. So artificial intelligence and machine learning are really all the rage right now. But as countless experts have warned, when it comes to cybersecurity, especially email security, it's important not to rely too heavily on machines. And that's where human intelligence comes in. The best solution is actually a blend of these that involves AI and the insights of trained human experts who understand how the digital threats evolve over time. So one of the key aspects of both AI and ML is that they need to be trained. If they're being trained to recognize phishing emails, then they're likely fed a series of example malicious emails and told that they were bad. So where this falls short is in recognizing new attack patterns and techniques. A sufficiently trained, suspicious employee is more likely to recognize a new form of attack, as they are trained to treat all emails with suspicion, whereas AI or ML is more likely to compare the known email to known past bad emails and decide, based on that the new email is fine because it doesn't have any hallmarks that the training emails did. Cofense is the only email security platform powered by a global network of unique intelligence sources that I talked about earlier. So we have human intelligence, artificial intelligence, and email threat intelligence. So leveraging the data created by the global Cofense network really provides the analysis with 99.996% accuracy, which is why we're positioned to lead the use of AI and ML in the email security space combined with the human element. The more intelligence we gather, the safer our customers become.
And I also think that for most organizations, return on investment of any cybersecurity project, any tech project, come to think of it, but obviously the business mantra is always, you can't improve what you don't measure. So how should anybody listening measure the effectiveness of their phishing countermeasures. Do you have any maybe key performance indicators that Cofense recommends? Because again, a big talking point and something that a lot of people don't know where to start on.
Yeah, so it's definitely an issue, especially with trying to justify purchases and that sort of thing. So two of the KPIs that I really want to highlight in regard to Cofense intelligence specifically are mean time to detection, or MTTD, and mean time to response, or MTTR. MTTD refers to the amount of time it takes an organization to detect an incident. Cofense intelligence keeps this down by rapidly providing human-vetted IOCs to SOCs, allowing them to quickly detect threats. A core part of this is that the IOCs we supply aren't just for the one customer, but IOCs derived from other customers around the world, including other customers in their sector, so that when a malicious email comes in, they may already have the IOCs for it, so the incident is immediately resolved when the email is quarantined, rather than after the employee has clicked the link in the email and an incident has occurred. So MTTD is really important in that regard. MTTR refers to the amount of time it takes an organization to respond to an incident, which is often very different from the same company's MTTD. Some organizations try to keep MTTD down by just shoveling IOCs into their appliance in an attempt to find anything suspicious. The problem is that most IOC feeds come with a fair number of false positives, meaning that even if they keep MTTD down, the amount of time it takes to respond to each false positive really increases MTTR. One of the things that Cofense Intelligence is particularly proud of is our 99.9996 accuracy rate. This means that MTTR for any company using our feed goes way down because they have so few false positives to respond to. They can really focus on decreasing their MTTR.
And the arrival of pumpkin spice lattes obviously signal the beginning of Black Friday and Cyber Monday emails just waiting on the horizon, which also means we can expect an onslaught of new phishing attacks too. So can you shed any light on the next generation of phishing tactics that you're seeing on the rise? Over here in the UK, for example, we're seeing big attempts on messaging apps such as WhatsApp. But what are you seeing, and how is Cofense staying ahead of the curve to help mitigate some of these evolving strategies?
So we've actually been seeing a lot of QR codes recently, which are annoying to analyze, but not particularly complex. So with the Cofense platform, once a suspicious email like this is reported, our triage program sorts genuine threats from false positives so that the IT security team can act faster and quarantine malicious phishing emails across the organization, or respond more effectively to open phishing emails to mitigate the consequences. The data collected by Cofense Triage from millions of messages received daily from a wide variety of sources is analyzed to identify new and emerging phishing threats that attempt to skim credentials, install malware, or otherwise compromise computers. Phishing intelligence reports are distributed as easily digestible email alerts or as machine-readable threat intelligence reports that are integrated automatically with third-party threat intelligence programs such as Palo Alto Networks, Threat Connect, Splunk, etc., due to technical partnerships with these platforms and other security information and event management applications. In summary, Cofense stays ahead of the curve through continued vigilance and implementation of the intelligence cycle: planning, collection, processing, analysis, dissemination. This is a never-ending loop where our published findings inform planning, and the cycle continues ad infinitum to capture emerging threats and trends. One of the ways that Cofense stays ahead of the curve is that not only do we have large feeds of data from customers all over the world, but we also have customized tools to successfully navigate the data and find new attacks. For example, when we first started seeing JNLP files used by TrickBot, we were quickly able to determine not just what the new tactic was, but who it was targeting and what secure email gateways it was bypassing.
And I'm curious, how are the laws and regulations such as GDPR here in Europe and CCPA in the US, how are they impacting companies' approach to phishing attacks? And at Cofense, do you offer any solutions that might help companies stay compliant as well?
So this one's a bit of a tricky topic. Yeah. It's bound in a lot of legal agreements. I can't speak to the impact on other companies, but the impact to Cofense's approach has been pretty minimal. We support privacy regulations such as GDPR and CCPA. And as a cybersecurity company, our users' privacy and data security has always been our main goal. Cofense has been adhering to data storage time limits, particularly for PII, since well before the regulations were implemented. Our data protection policies have always ensured that we are protecting our customers. Honestly, we're so careful it's annoying. Sometimes we find interesting campaigns that we would really like to share because they're advanced, but they're just too tied up with customer information for us to be able to share them publicly. And I think this is something that a lot of people encounter.
So much food for thought in our conversation today, and I'd be interested in what the listeners' key takeaways are. And before I let you go, though, something I always try and do, we hear about the tech company and the technology and how you're helping enterprises. But I always like to find out a little bit more about the guest as well and their career. And of course, none of us are able to achieve any degree of success without a little help along the way. So I'm curious, is there a particular person that you're grateful towards? Maybe it helped you get where you are. Maybe they just saw something in you or invested a little time in you. But who would that person be? Maybe we'll give them a little shout out at the end of today's episode.
I would really like to thank Gary Warner at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He was my professor back in college, and he really got me into cybersecurity. I took a cybersecurity elective because I thought it would fulfill course credits. Didn't really expect too much. But once he got me started in it, I never looked back. On top of that, he really provided me with the resources and training that I needed to get where I am today. It's definitely thanks to him that I'm working in cybersecurity and that I enjoy my job as much as I do.
What a beautiful answer. And I sincerely hope that he listens to this episode today, because I think none of us are fully aware of just how much impact that we have in our interactions with others. And him just spending that little bit of time with you and pointing you in the right direction and seeing the success you're having now. Absolutely phenomenal. And for anyone listening that just wants to find out more information about Cofense, phishing attacks, and anything we discussed today, where would you like to point everyone listening?
So you can, of course, look at all of our socials because we do post on there. But you can keep up to date on our emerging threats with our Cofense blog. And we regularly release research reports and different coverage on a lot of different threats that we face. So, for example, not too long from now, we're going to probably be having a write-up on LokiBot. We try to do some baselines because people like to talk about certain malware families in the news, but a lot of times people don't really know what they are. Like you'll see LokiBot in the news and it's like, oh, that's scary, but what does it actually do? Like, is it a big threat or is it something that's really simplistic? So we try to do some write-ups on some families like that.
Well, I'll have links so people can find you nice and easily. And we are approaching holiday season. Phishing attacks are already making up more than 90% of all cyber attacks, and the email threat vector makes up 98% of social engineering attacks. So I think it's the logical place to start. I can't thank you enough for sharing your insights today. 3 big takeaways for me on why security is failing is people relying or businesses relying too much or solely on technology. They're not utilizing human intelligence and they're not doing security awareness training the right way. But more than anything, just thank you for sharing that, your story, and also the person you're grateful towards. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
So a huge thank you to Max for joining me on the podcast today and offering a multi-dimensional view, looking into the blend of technology, human intelligence, and proper training. At a time where organizations are continuously spending billions on cybersecurity, the big takeaway for me is the paradox of rising cyber attacks puts the spotlight back on strategy, resource allocation, and most importantly, human involvement, human intelligence. And as Max reminded us, technology can be a powerful enabler, but human intuition can often catch what technology might miss. So the call to action is clear. Equip your people with the tools and the training that they need to become your most robust line of defense against phishing attacks. And I think this is such a timely mission. And this is such a timely message as we approach the holiday season. But let me know your thoughts. Maybe we can all help each other get through this period without becoming victims and grabbing a few deals instead. As always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. Just at Neil C. Hughes. Just connect with me, but don't just hit the connect button. Send me a little message. Let me know your thoughts. Or just say hello. And I'll continue to bring you discussions that not only dissect complex technologies, but also put them in a language that everyone can understand. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. So a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.